Good evening, Cheeseheads, and welcome to another Wednesday night Spurs Rambling show. I'll be guiding the conversation again tonight as we do our best to cover all the talking points around Tottenham this week and look ahead to the next few games. Tonight, joining me, we've got this Cheese Room stalwarts in John. John, good to have you on the show with us on this Wednesday. How are you doing?
I don't get called a stalwart very often. I am one of the older members of the Cheese Room, aren't I? Weirdly. Yeah, mate,
You
I'm good.
are.
I've had a good weekend. On Friday I entered the Chichester 10K, which my wife sent me the link. Said, "Oh, when you join, do this," and it was round Goodwood Motor Circuit. Well, partially round and then a bit on the road. And
Yeah.
I took 3 minutes off my 10K time. Absolutely smashed it. I was
I've-
dead at the end of it, but yeah,
I've got
it's
to say,
absolutely brilliant.
John. Yeah, I've been for the listeners in our chat. We've been talking a lot, and John posts a lot about his 10K running, and it has inspired me because I used to do quite a bit of running, believe it or not. And yeah, I'm all into doing 5Ks and 10Ks. But your times, you're smashing it, really smashing it.
Yeah. My wife has been a regular viewer. Now, my wife did couch to 5K during lockdown, having never run, and she's now done 9 marathons. She's just got the bug, and she got us to both join the local running club in January, and just going to a few sessions there has really helped me up my game. And I've signed up to do the Kingley Vale half marathon, which is over Goodwood and across the South Downs. It's 500 meters up and down, and then it's more than a half marathon. It's 22 kilometers, and that's in. On the 26th, so the day before. It's the day before Chelsea game, or 25th. Yeah, so I think I might be dead by the time we play Chelsea.
It's a phenomenal effort. I went to Goodwood in the not last summer, maybe the summer before, and I did I don't know if you've seen it there. They do the Top Gun flying experience, and you go up in these really fast stunt planes, and you get to fly them.
Right.
And they basically you fly over out to the coast, over the harbour, and everything. And they put you into positive G's and negative G's. It's absolutely brilliant. And that's at Goodwood. That's based at Goodwood.
You know what? There's so much there at Goodwood. He's got a race course, a motor circuit, a farm, hotel. There's so much going on. Anyway, let's talk football.
Yeah, let's talk football. We digress. Yeah, no Gibbo tonight. Gibbo's got to deal with some stuff. He's busy tonight. So, but don't worry, you've got John instead, and John's more than a capable replacement. So let's get into it.
I'm not sure I'll rant as much. I won't rant as much, probably.
No, and you won't be as positive either because Gibbo has been super positive this last sort of 7 days. It's a complete turnaround, chalk and cheese. The first thing, I guess, the first place to start is yesterday. We found out who our fifth round opponents are going to be. Sheffield United got the better of Wrexham, just about. How do you feel about Wrexham? How do you feel? I mean, for me, I'd love to have had Wrexham in the next round. I was praying that Wrexham got through.
I mean, HG and I are always discussing. We both watched the documentary on. It was Disney, wasn't it? And we loved it. And although it's that strange argument about, two big Americans with money coming in and basically possibly cheating, some people might call it, because they are out spending everyone else. But when you watch the documentary, see, they're not doing it for any personal gain. They're doing it. It's like a project to them, and they've really understood what Wrexham as a football club means to the local community. And they looked at a lot of football clubs, and the story Wrexham, were a football league team for a long, long time. And obviously, I remember that great day in 1992 when Mickey Thomas slammed that free kick in the top corner and knocked a team from London out. If you remember who it was, that was brilliant. But and as someone who's got a Welsh heritage as well, it's great to see one of the Welsh, Swansea and Cardiff have both been in the Premier League recently. Wrexham have really, really struggled. So it's great to see them coming back. It's great. They're getting some great crowds. That said, we would have only had about 800 fans there because that one side of the ground is completely closed. So Romance has been brilliant. But Sheffield United, we can get almost 5,000 fans there. So that'll be better. Oh, my light's flickering. So that'll be good. It's on BBC One, so it'll be great for us. We can watch it. It's Wednesday the 1st, isn't it?
Yeah.
It will be a very tough game. It'll be a tough game, but I think we should win. We should win.
Oh, absolutely, we should win. I mean, if we turn up and play like the way we know we can, it's not ever going to be a contest. We will talk about the away ticketing thing actually in a bit. I think it'd be good to touch on that because there's been quite a bit of noise about that in social media recently, hasn't there?
Yeah.
The other thing, I guess, as you know, we'll look ahead to what the next sort of period of games looks like shortly in the show. I just wanted to talk about the Beyonce gate and the announcement that the club made that Beyonce has taken a fifth show as part of her Renaissance World Tour, and it's going to be held on FA Cup final day. And I think it's fair to say it's caused a little bit of a stir on social media and in some of the Twitter spaces that I've been listening to. What do you make of the club deciding to have a concert on FA Cup final day in our stadium?
Do you know what? If it's a jinx, it means we actually get to the FA Cup final. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I think one of the arguments was that people would want to go and watch the game at the stadium. I watched the Champions League final at the stadium. I drove 3 hours there and 3 hours back, and my God, that was an awful drive back. It was great atmosphere beforehand. I don't know whether with that many people would want to go. I mean, some people moaning that the club charged even. I think I paid, can't remember if I paid a 10 for myself and 5 for James. Yeah, I mean, it was just to cover costs of opening, wasn't it? And those big screens. And at the time, the stadium was brand new. I will quite happily. I'm very much resigned to the fact I'm not going to get a ticket if we get to the cup final. I'm well aware of that, unless I get very lucky. Although my wife does a friend who works for the FA, so I'm always hopeful, but I'm not going to count any chickens. But I will watch it here at home on this screen behind me, as long as the kids allow me to. Otherwise, I'll go in the garage and watch it in the screen there. I would just love it to get there. If we just get there, it's been so long. I was 14 when we got there last time. I'm now 46. My son wasn't born. He's now at university. Yeah, you know. Go away.
I think I'm the same. I find the hoorah a bit weird, if I'm being honest. I thought that the chance, I don't think fans, like you say, if we get to the FA Cup final, it's not the same as the Champions League final. We're in a different place. It's not the new stadium like it was back then. I think the reality is that not many fans would want to go. In fact, I think I'd be interested to see what people say in the chat about this. But if we get to the FA Cup final day, I think I'll be blessed because I'll probably be in a position where I'll be able to get a ticket, which is great. But if I couldn't get a ticket, I'm more than likely wanting to go and watch it in the pub. So I'm not particularly fussed, and actually, you know, I'm pretty sure the club are going to generate more revenue from hosting a concert than they are going to having a few thousand people watching it on the big screens there. The other thing that came out was, and again we've heard this, that the club can't use the money from the concert revenue towards transfers and towards the footballing side. I know that we had a quick discussion last night. What was your take on that, John?
So just to clarify, Josh was supposed to be on the show. He hasn't quite appeared yet. Hopefully he will join us. I was listening to his Twitter space last night, and a gentleman on there brought this up. And I was quite surprised. And I had a check, I messaged Mr. Diver, who is our accountant and a bit of an expert, and he's going to do some confirmation because he knows people who have worked on Premier League audits and stuff like that, being in the accountancy world. But as far as we can make out, and Craig, I'm going to put this slide up that you found last night. What is covered by FFP? Clubs need to balance football-related expenditure, transfers, wages with television and ticket income, plus revenues raised by their commercial departments. Money spent on stadiums, training facilities, youth development, or community projects is exempt. Now, this is from 4 years ago. That's the first caveat. But what I would say is this concert, the same as NFL, would come under the section covered as commercial departments. So saying you can't spend that money on football is a misunderstanding. I don't think the guy was trying to mislead. I just think he misunderstood. No. Unless there's something else. If somebody else has got something else and has seen something in the rules, please send it to me. I'm more than happy to be proved wrong if you can. However, if for any reason we can't use the money, we've got, and I'm sure Phil or Keith or someone in the chat can correct me, around £680 million in bonds, which we don't have to pay off for 30 years. However, we've got to pay the interest each year, which is 20 to 30 million, I'm going to estimate. So we could use the profits from all these different events to go against that. so that otherwise money from the football side is going to have to go against that. So I don't really understand why we wouldn't want income from these extracurricular things coming in. As far as we know, we haven't seen last year's accounts yet. They are due by the end of March, although I think the club did say they would come back in February with their response to the trust originally, didn't they? As far as we know, Enic haven't taken a dividend since 2003 or 4, I think Steve said. Certainly not in the last decade. They haven't taken any dividends. The only money that's come out has been Daniel Levy's salary, which was 2.7 million 2 years ago. He got 6 million the previous year with the building of the stadium, 4 years ago with the building of the stadium. So the only money that's come out, 3 million, if that's what it costs to have Daniel Levy. A lot of people say it's a lot of money. It is a lot of money. But in a club that has a revenue of 500 plus million, it's not a lot of money. And actually, if we pay Daniel Levy nothing, we're not going to go and buy £100 million player, are we?
No, of course not. No, I think we're going to be doing a big show on the accounts when they eventually come out with the right people on who know about these things, talking to us about what the accounts actually mean. But I think it's going to be interesting when those accounts come out and what they actually do say, and potentially use it as an opportunity to do some myth busting. Because I do think there's a lot of misconceptions about what is and what isn't the case around our finances. So it's going to be interesting.
Obviously, the accounts are 50 pages long, and Steve will certainly have a good look, and we will as well. But there'll always be stuff you'll never know the exact specifics, like how much money we make profit out. Everyone goes on about the revenue being 6 million, and I'm going to just pick up the slide caller's tweet. How much profit do we make per concert event? There's no way we make £4 million profit. No. Turnover, maybe. And a lot of people will comment to that. People are misunderstanding the difference between turnover, the money you get through the till, and the actual profit and the fixed costs and all these sort of things. So from what we understand, it's closer to 1 million. And what would happen is Beyonce's promoter, or whoever it is, would come and hire the stadium from Tottenham. And that cost will include things like security, probably. So the club will buy the security in as they normally do, and then that would all be covered by the hire fee or other costs. And then there'll be other bits like the catering. Most of the catering money usually goes to Spurs at the NFL. I know that. And they make more money from the catering and the bars at NFL than they do at the football. And I suspect they do at the concerts as well. They definitely do at the boxing. Because at a football game, loads of us go to the pubs. We go to the Beehive. We go to the, I can't remember the pub I've been going to with Becky recently. What's it called? I can't remember. It'll come back to me. But, there's pubs all around. And then a lot of us will only get there 20 minutes, half an hour before the game. Whereas for a concert, you're going to go to that stadium. Very few people will go to those local pubs. I think a lot of them will go to the stadium. They'll see the warm-ups, and they'll be getting drinks and food. They'll be there for what, 3-4 hours, maybe 5 hours?
Yeah, no, you're right. No, it's good. It's good. It's good conversation. I think it's worth having the conversation because, like I said, there's been so much noise on social media about it, and if we didn't talk about it, we'd be accused of painting over the facts. But I think the premise is we supportive of any revenue that the club can do, additional revenue to bring into the club, because ultimately it's going to benefit us on the football pitch, hopefully one way or another. But time will tell on that one. Moving on then. I think the other thing I wanted to touch on was the away tickets conundrum, as I call it. And again, something I've heard a lot of over the last few weeks, and I think it's worth touching on, is this challenge. So I'm a season ticket holder, as you know, and my loyalty points in comparison to others is quite low. So I can't remember how many points I've got now, but certainly not enough to get me into, when I apply for the ballot, for away tickets, I very rarely am successful because I don't have enough loyalty points. And clearly, the fact of not being able to go to these away games, and I think it's the fifth round being away at Sheffield United or Wrexham, and Sheffield United, as we know, has brought this into the fore a little bit, means that fans aren't able to go, and they see it as a monopoly around the season tickets. What's your take on fans having equal access to tickets?
It's a difficult one. I'm just going to upload this picture, a screenshot I took of a tweet of a guy called Aaron that I've been having lots of conversation. I'm not sure how well this will come up in a minute. I'm doing it the old school way because it's quicker. Grand. Does it come up there? How's that going to look? Oh, it's quite hard to see. So Aaron's put a point out there saying, to make it better, could 80% of the allocation to the season ticket holders be based on loyalty points, and then the other 20 almost go into a ballot? He said England do similar things with allocating away tournaments for travel club members, and everyone seems to like that approach. And then he's put a vote down, and I mean, it was only 23 votes at that time, but 83% of people said they like that idea.
Yeah,
it is difficult. We know for a fact so many people go to away games on other people's season tickets.
Yeah,
Because that person will buy it, get the loyalty point. I mean, I've been to a couple of away games in my life, and I'm not a season ticket holder. I'm not lucky enough to be in that position that I can go to games. And like you said, you haven't got the loyalty points. And it's a bit of a vicious circle because the people at the top there will always have more loyalty points. And they'll always buy those games. So, yeah, there needs to be a fairer system. But at the same time, I sort of get the point. The people that go to every single game should be able to go to every single game. So I like his idea of maybe having a proportion going to a ballot. I guess the only problem is if, say, 5 or 6 of you want to go as a group and only one of you gets a ticket. It's quite difficult. I mean, I don't mind going to games by myself, but it is quite difficult going if you want to go as a group and you end up having to join up with other people.
Yeah, I think that the way we do it with loyalty points is probably the fairest way. But what would make it fairer for me is that those that buy the tickets are actually going to the game. I think that's the point, and you've just touched on it there. When I'm constantly offered tickets for away games quite regularly because the contacts I have and people that sit around me at the stadium, and it frustrates me a little bit because they're buying the tickets because they need to buy the tickets to keep their loyalty points at a certain level, but they've got no intention of going. So if we got to a point where the clubs in the Premier League could agree on some sort of system whereby there's ID checks or something is done to try and ensure that the people that bought the ticket are going to the ticket, that would discourage people buying tickets when they have no intention of going and open up that system. It won't be a quick fix. It'll be something that will take 2, 3, 4 seasons to start seeing some sort of balance. But yeah, that's what needs to happen in my mind's eye. That's a really good point as well. You're competing with 42,000 people for what's the average away season ticket allocation?
3,000.
Yeah.
It's capped at 3,000, isn't it? Unless it's a cup game, which is 15%. So this comes back to the FA Cup final because the FA Cup final will be 30,000. The League Cup final is about 40,000. So we can't, at an FA Cup final, even though Wembley holds 90,000 people, we can't even get all our season ticket holders in. It's just, can I just jump back? I've seen Daniela's comment saying the football stadium's for football, but it's been used for performance singers. Daniela, the trouble is it's used 25 times a season for football. There's 365 days in the year. The more money we make from other events, the more money there is for the club, ultimately. So surely, if that helps us buy a better left back, a better central midfielder, that's for the betterment of the club. One of the arguments is, it's all going Daniel Levy's pocket. As far as we know, it isn't. Obviously, when we see the next set of accounts, it will help us understand. And again, in a year's time, when we see this year's accounts, we'll have a better idea. But I think this is one of the misconceptions. People don't understand how it works generally. What harm is it doing having the concert? Yeah, okay, it's maybe not ideal having it on FA Cup final day if we wanted to do something at the stadium. But the concerts are happening in the summer or NFL in October. I don't see what that harm it does. The only thing that upsets me is when they play rugby on the football pitch. I originally thought they might be able to use the NFL pitch somehow.
That's true.
Because it's because it's a 4G, isn't it? I think, but they obviously are using the football pitch, which is, if you look at Brentford Stadium when we played them on Boxing Day, there hadn't been football there for 7 weeks, and the pitch was awful because London Irish play there. So, yeah. And she's come back with us? Yeah, it should help the transfer budget, but whatever the club gets from concerts performances doesn't go into the football club. It goes into something else like cinemas or building. Do you have proof of that? Would be my question. I don't know either way, but I think that's an assumption made by people's comments on social media. Gavin's come. It would be nice if Levy did use the money for better players. That's yet to be seen. We spent £500 million since we moved into that stadium. Some of the players have been dog. absolutely terrible. I thought Ndombele would be a good signing, and he's been terrible. We all know that, don't we? We have spent money. We've spent it badly. Sessegnon, although I thought he looked good when he came on Sunday, has been a very bad buy. We've made some very bad signings, but Romero, Kulusevski, Bentancur have all been great signings. Richarlison, I think, when he gets played as a striker, we saw him in the World Cup. Great, he's a great player. Who am I missing? Bissouma, I just don't think he's settled in the system yet. Porro, we all wanted him, and we've that's going to happen. I can't think. Am I missing somebody? Oh, and Danjuma obviously coming.
New in, isn't he? You're right though about this. One of the things that Levy's response to the trust when he did come back, and he said they rebutted the comments or the allegation that they don't back the manager, and they quoted the fact that actually since the new stadium's been built and open, we are within that top quartile of spenders in the Premier League, and you've just referenced the £500 million mark. I think that's absolutely spot on. I think you're also spot on around we've bought absolute rubbish, always rubbish. And Gavin said, and I've just seen Gavin's put a comment on, get that up quickly. Yeah, sorry, always second or third choice options. Ndombele was the first choice option. First choice. He was
the player wanted. Pochettino wanted him and Lo Celso.
Yeah.
So that was Pochettino's choice. And that was Levy saying, who do you want? Now, the problem comes, we didn't buy players for 2 windows because they had to get the credit rating of the club up to get these good bonds we've now got with these 20, 30 years, so that it delays they're having to pay the money back on the stadium. And Paul Miller said that on the Spurs show, because Paul Miller works in the city and explained it very well 2 or 3 years ago, the reason why we did it. It wasn't ideal, and it then caught us up when the end of Poch's time at Spurs, because we didn't refresh the squad, and we should have done. I mean, I still go back to Nelson and Sarr. That was the biggest cock up, really. We should have gone for a couple of one top player would have taken us up a level. Nelson did all right, but he was slower than Eric Dier and old. And Sarr did okay, but actually in some ways affected us as a team because we were too open playing 4-4-2. But they were the wrong players to bring in that time. They were both over the hill. And we needed, but you hear different stories that Harry didn't think Suarez could play up front by himself, or was it Levy didn't want to pay the money? I know we were linked with Eden Hazard. I don't think we're ever going to know the truth on that.
No.
But there have been times when we should have gone for a player or two, and we could have got that. We'd have made the money back in things like the Champions League or even the title.
Absolutely. But, you got to look at it and say, in reality, we spent big on big players. It's just not worked out for whatever reason. Like I said, there's not one person. I've never come across one Spurs fan who said to me when we signed Ndombele, they wasn't buzzing or wasn't excited or thought actually this is an amazing signing. Everyone was raving about it. So and to be fair, when Levy made the changes and he brought in Perisic and everything else, he said at that point, we need to do better with our signings. Exactly what Craig's just saying. We need, he said we've not bought well. We need to do better. And to be fair, give it time. Perisic, it does seem on the face of it, he's bought good players. He's bought better players, and we talked about the fact that he's had 3 windows now, and we are seeing an evolution of the squad. We are seeing a refreshing of the squad. 6, 7 players now come in who are all adding value to the team and improving us as a team. In my mind's eye. It's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Ndombele, this is a good point. Ndombele played for the wrong managers. Yeah, he needs to play for an attacking manager. Maybe given time under Poch, it would have worked. We don't really know. No. Cooler's got it right. Romero's first choice. Kulusevski was first choice. Although they were brought in at the end of the window, could we have got that done earlier, or was it because Juve wanted to get the striker from Fiorentina whose name escapes me, that they paid 60, 70 million for?
I know who you mean. Yeah.
Someone put it in the chat because he didn't come until quite late, did he? But
Okay. The thing is, I think we look at it and we say who have we gone big for? Romero was a big signing in terms of monetary value.
Yeah.
Um,
The one thing I will say in the club's response to the Vlahovic, thank you, Craig. In the club's response to the trust, they said they spent 200 million. I can't quite work out where the 200 million is unless they've actually done the deal for Kulusevski. Because as far as I know, Kulusevski is still technically on loan. I believe we've already met the criteria for him to be a Spurs player. It's a done deal, but I don't think we've actually concluded that signing yet. Because we announced Romero, I don't think we've announced Kulusevski having signed formally.
Yeah, but does it include? I'm just looking there. Does it include Destiny as well? Was that included in the figures? The 200 million, for example.
Yeah. But
yeah,
he was only about 17 or 18 million. If you think 50 million plus 10 for Richarlison, 50 million for Romero. Okay, so 100 million. 25 to 30 for Bissouma. So 100. What 125 to 104?
Yeah,
35. Who else did we sign? Destiny was what 18 million.
18 million.
You're heading up towards 150, aren't you? Yeah, I mean, Caller's got it right. He says, probably including agents' fees. They do announce now, don't they, how much they spend on the agents' fees? The Premier League do it each year, so it will be interesting. And this is something that does get forgotten when people say about how much you've paid. Leslie's saying Romero is 43 million. Okay, I don't know if there was a loan fee at the beginning for that one. This time will tell.
But that's the other thing. It'll probably include some loan fees, I suspect.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, we paid 6 million for Longley. So people say, "Oh, he was free." Well, he wasn't, because we're paying him quite a good salary. I think we're paying half of his 200k, aren't we? There you go.
Yeah,
50 million transfer equals 3 to 5. It's not just one agent, though, is it, Caller? It can be intermediaries. It can be an agent for the selling club and an agent for the buying club, plus the agent for the player who wants a chunk of it. So you could end up paying a lot of money. This was the thing, wasn't it? Christian Eriksen's agent supposedly wanted 17 million when he was signed. That's what we were told, just for him.
What do you think? What do you think we need to be doing every single transfer? Do you think we need to be? Is there a value in your mind, a figure that we should be investing in the squad every single transfer window? How do you see it? What does a good transfer window look like to you?
Sometimes I'd rather we were just a bit more clever. You look at the likes of Brentford and Brighton who are buying players, and I know it's different. There's less pressure going to these clubs than going to Spurs. There's time for Alexis McAllister's been at Brighton probably 3 years, I think. He's had time to bed in, and now people are really suddenly noticing him. So sometimes it's not just about the amount of money; it's about being clever. We spent a lot of money. Our history of buying expensive players is terrible.
Yeah,
Darren Bent, David Bentley, Sergei Rebrov, Davinson Sanchez, Soldado, Lamella. There's a long list. Until we've got likes Romero, Kulusevski, and Richarlison, etc. We have bought badly when it comes to spending money. And I know Davo always jokes about the 20 to 30 million mark and the fact that Bentancur is coming at 19 million euros. Okay, there's some add-ons to that. But Craig's saying we need 3. That's all in the summer. We need a goalkeeper, which we'll come on to the goalkeeper, won't we, in a minute? We do definitely need a goalkeeper in the summer. We definitely need, I'd say we need 2 centre-backs, not just one.
Yeah.
Left wing back will be covered because of Destiny coming in. Right wing back. I know Emerson was very, very good on Sunday, and I held my hands up. I apologise to him, but how many games are we going to be under the cosh? That's his game. Where you're under the cosh. If we're playing teams that are going to sit back, that's not his game. And if Porro gets injured, we probably do need another more dynamic right wing back. We definitely need a creative midfielder, so the likes of Maddison.
Yeah, we've got to remember what's going to happen with Spence. He's on loan. He could have a fantastic. He could have a fantastic. Time out loan. Come back to the summer, and we've got that what people perceive to be our potential dynamic right wing back to play with Porro. So,
no, it's a good shout. And then
the goalkeeper's an interesting one, isn't it? Because that's a difficult position to fill.
Yeah. Should we? Obviously, we got the news that. Sorry, Craig. I'm going to move your comment. We got the news that Hugo is out for 6 to 8 weeks with I think knee ligaments. I think I read. Now I am wondering, was that caused in the far post flick when there was a claim for a penalty, or was that caused when he jumped on Harry? No.
Yeah, well,
No.
I think it was. I mean, I didn't see any sign of an injury there when he was jumping all over the pitch on Harry at the end of the celebrating at the end. So, I was surprised by this. It's a bit like there was another. Who was the other guy that went off last season? There was an injury. He played the whole game. Sonny, wasn't it? Sonny. He played the whole
broke
game,
his arm.
scored a goal. Yeah,
Son broke his arm at Villa, scored twice.
Yeah, scored twice.
Yeah.
Come off thinking he's going to be fine. Then he was out for ages. But I mean, it wasn't that long ago, John. The fan base was screaming for him to be dropped. Where are we now with that? He's out for 8 weeks. What does that mean for us?
I don't mind Fraser Forster. I think he's probably maybe slightly better with his feet. Although a friend of mine who's a Southampton fan said he's not great with his feet. Obviously, Hugo can be a bit of a liability at times. Forster's a big old unit. His weak area is low shots in the corner because he's such a big guy. Getting down, top corner, that sort of thing. He's brilliant. He's very good in the air. That's the one thing that Hugo isn't great at, commanding his box. He very rarely does now. It was a great save, that one in the last minute against City where he flicked it away. It might be a good thing. It might take the pressure off the defenders as well, because he will come and grab that ball. And I know he obviously dropped one in against us last season at St Mary's and got away with it when the foul was given against Doherty. Craig's just put this. I am worried because we've got Brandon Austin as our third choice. There's the tweet that we've seen. I think the Daily Mail have reported this. The Spurs have picked up. Tottenham could turn to Ben Foster as emergency goalkeeper cover after Hugo Lloris was ruled out for up to 8 weeks. Now, he retired last summer. I don't know if he still lives locally, obviously, because he's not a sort of a London lad, but obviously Watford is very close to Tottenham. Very, very fit lad. He cycles a lot, doesn't he? He's got his own YouTube channel. I wouldn't have a problem with him coming in, Craig, as a sort of a short-term backup if this is something we can do.
But I mean, we've got a retired keeper, right? Ben obviously keeps himself fit, but he's a retired keeper. Is he really better than having a youngster on the bench? Is that really, honestly, a better option?
I think it depends on if they rate that youngster, but it's a bit worrying if they don't and why they haven't addressed it.
Absolutely,
that would be my worry. I'm just gonna camera. Yeah.
The hope is, I guess, you're bringing him in and he's not going to play. But
yeah, unless they want to put him in, unless they think he's looking fit and well, and they stick him in the FA Cup game or something. But I think at this point we need to take the FA Cup very, very seriously.
It's the best chance of anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So Leslie's saying Raya is very good at not going to sign a new contract to Brentford. We were linked with him during the window, and I think he has said that he will look at his future in the summer. There's a good chance he will be moving on this summer, and that's a typical. Brentford will already have a backup. They'll have the replacement lined up, and supposedly Paratici does this, but I haven't really seen much evidence of Spurs doing this. We should be doing this. We should be having the next 5 signings for each position almost lined up. We should know which 15-year-olds we're keeping an eye on now that we might sign when they're 22. I know that some of them will go down the hill. Do you know what I mean? We need to get into the system where we're planning ahead all the time and having an idea of where we're going to go. I appreciate it's difficult because we all know Conte won't be our manager in the Don has been flawless. We all know not say the Italians anyway. We all know that Conte won't be our manager in 5 years' time. Well, we don't. It'd be very unlikely he will be. So we might have a different manager who wants to play Klopp-esque football or Poch football. So you have to look at the players fitting the mold. The biggest worry is the fact that most teams now, their academy will play the first team style football. We don't seem to do that at the moment, and there is a bit of a disconnect there, which worries me. But I would be happy with Raya.
How old's Raya?
No idea.
No. Anyone in the group chat? Tell us.
He's Spain's number 2, though, isn't he? He's Raya. Oh,
Raya, Brentford. I'm looking.
Brentford. He's 27.
See, I don't know. I don't know. Are we looking for? Is that who's going to be Hugo's replacement? Spanish number 2.
Yeah,
backup keeper. 27 years old.
I mean, Spanish number 2 is not a bad position. Who you got? It's tough. Who else do you look at? Is there somebody in Italy? The one, I mean, the last keeper we got from Italy was a complete epic fail, wasn't he? Galini is number 2. I don't know. I don't know who will come in.
It's difficult. I think it's probably our most difficult position because, whatever people think of Hugo now in this season, whatever people think of Hugo and what he's done this season, he's been immense for Tottenham, hasn't he? He's been he's been the best keeper
over his whole career. I mean, he's 10 and a half years he's been at Spurs, and he did think about leaving until Poch came in. He when he first came in, they classed him as the sweeper keeper. He would rush up his line, anything over the top, he was there. And then Lukaku knocked him out, not deliberately, I would say that, at Everton. And he's never been the same since. He's always been terrible with his feet. The only thing under Mourinho got him to kick it long a bit more, which he's now reverted to. He does go long when he needs to. And France had him kicking it long. Certainly, there's no point in pussyfooting around. We get into trouble too much. We almost did it the other day, actually, didn't we? Playing around at the back. But I'm a lot more confident when he goes long. It's definitely a position we need to sort out. Whichever goalkeeper comes in needs to be someone who can pass the ball properly. And more keepers can. I know that Matt Hayes obviously is a big fan of Bissouma, who went to Southampton. But for me, he's a bit small.
Yeah.
I think he's only 6 foot. But he's excellent with, ball at his feet. So, yeah, I mean, Oblak is an experienced goalkeeper. He's 30. I don't know how much Atletico want. They drive a hard bargain, as we know. So, Pickford, lads. So this is the one he won't go around. He's got a year left in his contract, I think, next season. So he's not going to go for big bucks. He's never really let England down. Again, he's a little bit small, so sometimes does get beaten by shots. But with his feet, he's right up there with Ederson. So, again, you've got that argument. He does make some good saves. I mean, in the 5-0 last year, he let one of the Sonny shots go right under his body, didn't he?
Gavin says he won't stay at Everton. Gavin said he won't stay at Everton. I'm interested in this, Gavin. If Everton stay up and they have a good second half to the season, you still think he leaves?
If someone like Spurs come in, yeah. If someone like Spurs come in, if one of the bigger clubs, yeah. Yeah, and it depends really on the player. Is he driven by money? Because if they offer him 300 grand a week, he'll go, all right, I'll stay here, going to a brand new stadium. But Everton are financially in a bit of trouble. So if they get sold, there's a big rebuilding job there. And I like Sean Dyche. I'm not sure he's going to take them to the Champions League. Might be wrong, but he's definitely there to put out some fires at the moment. And I think he's been there. He was a Sunderland lad. I remember him playing against us at the Lane when we beat them 4-1. And Ericsson scored a massive deflected goal from about 30 yards. And I just remember watching this lad. He'd been brought in for that game and he was kicking the ball miles. And I was like, you've got to watch this lad. And obviously, he's done very well for himself. French keeper, 23, Duffond. Appearances, 250 appearances for his club. So similar sort of thing to Lloris then.
I wonder who's in line to be number 1 French keeper? Is it Duffond?
No, the guy.
Interesting.
No, there was a guy played. I can't even remember. I'm going to have to look up there was a guy who played games when Lloris was out before France. I'll tell you what I'm surprised about. The West Ham's reserve keeper who was at Fulham. He's a good keeper, but he's only playing number 2. Let's have a look. If someone wants to comment and tell us. So, history of Tottenham Hotspur saying All Black is decent, albeit 30. He says 4 or 5 years. Goalkeepers can play to their late 30s. Ray Clements was 37. He was still pulling out saves. Jennings was 40 at Mexico 86 World Cup. Shilton was past it. Now Adrian Meslier. Now, my friend Derek, who's been on the show a couple of times, Leeds fan, he's not a fan of Meslier.
Oh, really?
He makes some good. Yeah, he was quite critical of him. He said, especially with kicking. And although he does play the ball at his feet a lot, he said he does get beaten by shots. And I think he's one of those. He's only about 21, isn't he? 22. He's quite young. I think a bit of experience, Medio will be a good goalkeeper, but he's definitely one for the cameras. He likes a camera save. Georgian keeper, Georgian Valencia keeper is very decent. Might be available in the summer. The Spanish teams don't have a lot of money, which is why we have to keep loaning them players.
Yeah.
Most European teams don't have a lot of money. The problem comes when they see an English Premier League team coming, they put the price up. Mannion, that's the French keeper. Thank you, Phil. Yeah, he's a good keeper indeed.
Where's he?
AC
Where's he at?
AC Milan. Thanks, Craig. Save me googling.
Yeah.
We've been linked with Napoli's. Now it's interesting. Are Napoli likely to sell? Given they're looking very good to win the Serie A this year, and again they'll drive a hard bargain, so we'll have to spend some money. So it really comes down to it's all about the club will have a budget. They'll have a wages budget and a transfer budget. It might be they can move one from one pot to the other, and they'll look at it. And they'll look at the age of the player because obviously that determines the length of the contract, and which determines however long they will spread the transfer fee accounting wise. And then that's how and they add all these little blocks up and work out how much the money they're going to spend on which players. And from as I understand it, the club have had a few times where they've been working on a number of deals, but maybe only want 3 or 4 players, but they're working on 10 deals, and suddenly the blocks for 5 or 6 of them come in at one pot, and they've almost had to decide we can't sign them all, and they're for different positions. Which one do we want to prioritize? And they can maybe sign 2 of them, or they can sign 3 different ones depending on the costs of it all. And that's the fine balance between Paratici and now I guess Steinson's involved, and the guy from Rangers, the head scout that we've got, as well as how much input Levy has got, because supposedly he has stepped back, but he's clearly still involved. He was definitely involved in the Porro. He was the one that got the Porro deal over the line in the end, supposedly.
Yeah.
And how much input Conte gets. Because Conte, we've seen from Spence, if Conte's doesn't want to, if he said he's not my player, he's not going to pick him, is he?
No. Do you think, do you think that Kane, the end of this next 5 or 6 games where we haven't got Lloris, do you think that we'll look back at the end of that and be happy with Forster, or do you think we'll be thinking get Lloris back if we need him back?
Foster or Forster, yeah, it's definitely some sort of joke, as Phil said to us earlier in Patreon. I'm just getting distracted by that. Sorry, Helena Henderson. I can't see United selling to us.
No,
not unless there's a big fee involved. And it might be that Ten Hag fancies him. De Gea is definitely coming to the end, unless Ten Hag's got his eyes on a different keeper. Sorry, it's hard to tell. Forster is a good keeper. He's one of these players. He has spells. At Southampton, he had loads. He had a few clangers, got dropped a few times, but then he came back, and we all remember the game against Arsenal. Was it last season where he was unbelievable? And we're just going to have to hope that he has a few games. Now, one of the things is, was at the beginning of the season, Lloris hardly had any saves to make in the first 4 or 5 games, did he? He hardly had any. Is whether Forster can keep that concentration. Now, generally, he's been all right. The goals he's conceded against Forest in the cup, couldn't really blame him for those. Played against Portsmouth, had 1 shot to save and did well. Played against Preston, 1 or 2 shots to save. I can't remember a lot. Has he played any other games? I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah,
just 3 appearances. Yeah, so, we've got Leicester on Saturday, so I guess we'll see.
Big game, isn't it? Should we talk about the Leicester game? What now? Going into that game, so obviously we know we haven't got Lloris in goal now, so that position's sorted. Do you think we'll see Porro?
So going back to Porro, we were told in our little chat that Porro was ill, and Alistair Gold has come out with that as well. So I don't know if we tipped Alistair Gold off or not, but yeah, Porro was apparently ill last week, which is why he wasn't considered to start. Although most of us thought he probably wouldn't start, given that it was Man City. So it really comes down to how he's trained. Leicester won't be an easy game. They're one of these teams that they won. Was it 4-2? They won at Villa last week. They're capable of scoring goals, but they're also capable of conceding. So it'd be really interesting to see how we play it. Obviously, last week, Eric Dier was doing this thing where he moved into midfield to help the press. Leicester do like to play out from the back, but they do also like to ping it long because they always play with fast strikers. We've got to stop Maddison dictating the game. We at White Hart Lane back in September, that 6-2 game, we gave him the freedom of Tottenham in that first half, and he just controlled the game. And that's why there was boos at half time in that game. And we're on the concourse and everyone was grumbling, and it was 2-2 and it was a great game. And obviously second half, we ran away with it, and Sonny scored a brilliant hat-trick. But we've got to stop him dictating the game. And one of the things they've always done is pinged crosses in from the wings, haven't they? Especially Maddison,
Yeah.
he gets into that inside right position, same as James Ward-Prowse, same as Bentley or Beckham did. We've got to stop those balls coming in. And with Perisic, it does worry me a little bit because defensively he's not brilliant. Going forward, Perisic is very good, as we know. So I do wonder, especially with Milan coming up on Tuesday, if we'll see Sessegnon playing left wing back. Wouldn't surprise me. There'll be a few changes.
This is suddenly, and this is the complication now, isn't it, with these picking teams or predicting teams, because Champions League is coming back, and suddenly you've got to start trying to get the balance of the team right, haven't you, and protecting players for that. Yeah, so Sessegnon, left wing back.
I think it'd be interesting to see if he sticks with Davis.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to the right wing back. Does he want Emerson playing in the Champions League, or does he want Emerson playing in the Premier League?
You probably away at San Siro, you play Emerson, don't you?
I think so.
So it really comes down to how Porro's trained this week. Has he grasped the system? How quickly he's picked it up? Or are they going to take, like Bissouma, took weeks and weeks to get in the team? So is he going to play Emerson and just gradually bring Porro on a sub after? If we were able to get 2 or 3 goals up at Leicester, which would be fantastic, then bring Porro on. They might introduce him that way because they've got a free week now, and then they've got the 3 days to Milan. But you'd suspect Emerson would play at Milan. Yeah.
How do we stop Maddison from dictating that midfield with our 2-man midfield?
You've got to do what we did on Sunday. You've got to stop the space. So it might be a case of that one of the centre backs turns. So there were times Romero came out on Sunday. So one of the centre backs has to step forward and close the space so that Bentancur can push forward, Hojbjerg can push forward, and then they literally just man mark the whole team. What we do know is Leicester are not as good at playing out the back as Man City, and we cause Man City problems on Sunday. So if we can replicate that, that's a good point, Helena. Yes, it will be Sanchez for Romero. I completely forgot he got sent off. But I'd rather he was suspended for this game than Chelsea or West Ham coming up. But yeah, I can't see Sanchez stepping into set midfield too much. But obviously Dier did it quite a lot, didn't he? So it might be that
Dier did it. I thought that was really good in Man City, the way he stepped up in that. It really gave us a different impetus. I don't know whether that's because we felt that we could against the way that they play, because we wasn't going to get those direct long balls, having us turn backwards. It was, but we'll get that against Leicester. Leicester very direct.
I'm baffled how Pep could not see that just getting a couple of balls play over the top. Aguero used to score goals regularly with Ederson kicking the ball over the top, over high defences. You've got the most powerful striker in the world, pretty much at the moment, Haaland. If you play the ball over the top, he would have caused us so many problems, and it would have pushed us back and left them, and then given their midfield more space to play. What on earth is Pep playing it? He does this. He has these moments, like the Champions League final. Didn't he go in without a defensive midfielder or something? I can't remember what he did. He did some strange against us in 2019 in the Champions League, the game where the first Champions League game at the new stadium. He dropped De Bruyne for that game as well. De Bruyne usually has really good games against us, and Pep baffles me sometimes. The guy is obviously a brilliant football manager, but I think he overthinks it. I don't know, but we were brilliant on Sunday, but Pep helped us, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a fair reflection. We were brilliant as well. I think the rest of the team sort of.
That's a good result. Well done, Leeds. I know Leeds were winning.
Is that full time?
Yeah.
That is an amazing result.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy with that.
It's good for Spurs as well.
Yeah. Let me see if I can get the league table up. Unfortunately, I haven't got my second screen here in the house, so I can't share the screen very often. So United, 22 games, 43 points. Newcastle, 21 games, 40 points. Tottenham, 22 games, 39 points. So we're 4 points behind United now. We've got a slightly better goal difference.
Yep. Is that equal games now, or they played one?
We've played equal games. Newcastle played one less. They're a point ahead of us.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But they go to Leeds on Sunday, so that'll be interesting. So let's have a look. Sancho rescues a point for them. So Leeds were actually 2-0 up. Konate scored in the first minute, and Varane scored in the 48th an own goal, and then Rashford and Sancho equalised. So it's a shame they could have won it there. It's a funny, isn't it? Get rid of your manager, and the bounce back you get. It's amazing how it happens.
Yeah. No, what a good result for Spurs that is. Let's make sure we capitalise against Leicester away then. So I know we'll be talking about it on the preview show on Friday, but whilst we're on it, how do you see that game going?
I imagine there'll be goals. So it's probably going to be a 0-0 draw, isn't it? But you just imagine both teams, there'll be goals played in it. I think we'll just do our caginess. We'll cagey and try and hit them on the counter. I think they're definitely there to be taken. But they've got dangers. We know Maddison with a free kick within 30 yards can score a goal. And we know that they've got a lot of different players that are skillful and tricky and can cause us problems. We conceded those 2 goals at the White Hart Lane Stadium because we weren't switched on. Sanchez gave away a stupid penalty. We've just got to be on our A game and not be thinking about Milan. We need to get the game won early, take players off, rest up for Milan. But it's not really what we've done this season, is it?
No. Do you think we'll have Conte back in the dugout for Leicester away?
Yeah.
You do?
I think Conte will be back. I mean, obviously, the rumour was he was supposed to be back potentially today, but we've not seen anything on social media unless someone can say in the comments that he has been seen. But I suspect he'll be back in the next couple of days. It was the decision for him not to travel on Sunday was only made Saturday night. So,
oh really?
I would hope he'd be back for Saturday's game. Just the biggest shame is that again, and this is one thing I will rant about. It's on at 3:00 on Saturday. If I lived in any country in the world, pretty much, I could watch it legally. I cannot watch it in this country. How are we in 2023, the biggest football league in the world, and we cannot watch every game? It's just baffling. Even if it was, I mean, like tonight, the Leeds Manchester United game was not on in this country. Okay, yes, the FA Cup was on, but how are we just not? How can you not have the option to watch the game? Even if I've got Sky, I've got my dad's BT login, I've got Sky and BT, but if I want to watch some of the games, I've got to try and find a stream, or I've got to subscribe to some sort of dodgy app or something. Why are we doing? The Premier League got to sort this out. It's just ridiculous in this day and age. There you go. Yeah.
No, I completely agree. I do think when the new television deal gets done, whenever that is, maybe someone in the chat knows when that's coming up, but there's got to be something built in for some sort of season ticket almost, isn't it? Like you buy a season ticket on Sky for your team.
Yeah.
It could be BT Sport or whatever one, and then you get to see all the home and away games for that particular team for the season.
Yeah.
That's got to be it's got to be here in either this deal or the next deal.
Yeah, let's have a look. The current net one ends in 2022 to 25. So they'll probably start doing it at the end of this year. They'll probably start doing the tenders for it. But they really need to move on. Project Lockdown shows there's an appetite for games. Absolutely. You should be able to buy a season ticket and watch every Spurs game.
It's on the same page as me.
I mean, the only other thing I really watch on Sky is the cricket. Apart from that, I don't really watch a lot. I've got Fire Sticks in every room, so if I want to watch stuff, we've got Netflix, we've got Prime. There's so many different options. You've got Paramount come out now, haven't you? You've got so many different options of things you can watch. I hardly watch any live TV unless it's maybe a bit of news or the sport.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm a Netflix monkey. Always watching Netflix all the time. I love it.
Yeah, the clubs.
Interesting point, Gavin.
This is what happens in Spain, though, isn't it? And this is where you get the disparity. I think you have to have a certain degree where it is spread to try and keep it fair to a certain degree. Look at someone like Bournemouth, bless them, their little 10,000 capacity stadium, and they are competing to a certain degree. Burnley, one of the smallest towns with a professional football team. We're in the Premier League for 7 or 8 years? And I honestly think if they kept Dyche, they would have stayed up. Good man, best sport in the world, cricket. Love my cricket. Although I did get free tickets to go and watch England play India at the Oval last year, and we got smashed by 10 wickets. That was quite painful. Yeah. So what else we got here? Oh, here we go, lads. The league is wide open. Arsenal will drop points. We beat City. We're in the shout to be right up there with City. Who knows what will happen? I mean, if Pep doesn't sort things out, he's going to cock up this league because the league is there for City to win it. Ultimately, I do think Everton have shown the way. I know Arsenal still play quite well on Saturday. Everton have shown the way how to beat them, and there'll be doubt in there now. So, and Arsenal have got a nice little run of games. They have got City. Is it next week they're playing City? City need to go to
it's coming
Everton
up, isn't it?
and win. Yeah, I think it's next week. They need to go there and win, ultimately. But
yeah,
I think we need Arsenal to start dropping some points. So Arsenal have got Brentford at home on Saturday. So you would expect them to win that. Brentford are a good team, though. City got Villa at home; they'll win that.
yeah.
Next Wednesday, next Wednesday they play. They go to the Arsenal. City go to the Arsenal. Yeah.
I think what's more important for me though, it's yes, them teams will drop points. City are dropping points this season. We know that Newcastle are starting to drop points, struggling to score goals. Arsenal are going to go for a patch, aren't they? They will get one or two injuries. They've been tested now. What's more important is what we do now. We've got a good run of fixtures ourselves. Leicester away, West Ham at home, Chelsea at home, Wolves away, Forest at home. I mean, if you're going to pick 5 or 6 fixtures, they're the clubs you'll want to go for, right? We've got a good opportunity here.
Knowing our luck, Chelsea will just start to turn the corner. They've got James back and they've got Chilwell back, just annoyingly, but hopefully because it's at home. We haven't scored against Chelsea. The only goal we've scored against Chelsea since we left Wembley was an own goal by Tony Rudiger. We haven't scored. Well, not one of our players has scored a goal since Son scored that in the league. Since Son scored that amazing individual goal at Wembley, we really got to get rid of that, and we need to turn up in that game because so many games against Chelsea we have not turned up. We've just been so passive. What we need is what we had on Sunday. We weren't passive. We were in their face. We were up for it. And there's no doubt this team meeting has made a difference. My biggest question is why the bloody hell didn't that happen after the Aston Villa game? Because if it had, we might have turned up against the Goons. Yeah. But I know we haven't had the best. I know Fulham are a decent team, but not the best team. And Preston, obviously, a championship. But that's 3 clean sheets on the trot. There does seem to be a different mentality. And Sonny, I thought, was definitely better on. You could tell he's not there yet. But a couple of times he got the ball and he span away from players and moved. Maybe it's because Man City left the space open. I don't know. But he looked like the old Sonny. We're just waiting for a couple of those shots to go in and then he'll be back up there. Are you saying a comment?
Okay. Oh, no, sorry.
Okay. Here we go. Gavin. Pape is definitely having a wobble. I don't think this investigation City, that's probably true, but they've known about this for a while. But yeah, it's odd goings on. Why De Bruyne has not been? What's De Bruyne got to do? It's a very strange one. Villa part the bus, City attacked us. Big difference. True, that's one thing we're not good at generally. But we've got Bentancur back now, and we didn't have Bentancur against Villa, did we? And he makes a big difference. And maybe Porro will be the difference because we know Emerson cannot attack. He can't cross the ball. Hopefully what we've seen of Porro on YouTube is he can cross the ball and we'll get some chances out of it. And what I'm most looking forward to is Perisic coming in at the far post off some of those crosses. We've seen him score these goals for Inter and for Croatia where that header he scored in the World Cup from the edge of the box, from a right wing cross. That's the sort of thing I'm looking for.
Yeah.
You're right. Son couldn't be any worse than how he was. Hopefully he'll get another goal this weekend. He looked quite like playing Leicester, scored a lovely hat trick against them, and then he'll be up and running. McKennie looking good for Leeds. It's interesting. Obviously, he must have been quite gutted. He signed for an American coach and he's been sacked straight away. Porro will make the difference against teams sitting back in a low block. Hopefully, he will.
Yeah.
Sessegnon incoming. Is Forster going to go up front and head some in? Right, come on, guys. Give us if you got any more questions, comments, chuck them in for us.
Yeah.
I've still got 1,000 steps to do to get my 10,000 for the day, and I don't want to lose my streak. I'm on over 100 days. Does anyone else do steps? My wife's on 600 days.
Yeah, I do
On the
steps. I've
Garmin,
got my little smartwatch thing. Yeah,
on the
it's
Garmin
important.
watch.
Important. Gonna get
yeah, always got to get your steps.
10,000 steps. What my target is.
Yeah, that's what mine is.
Yeah, 9,200. So I'll walk up and down the stairs a couple of times and I'll be fine.
I'm on 8,800. Anyone else want to tell us your steps target? What you're on today? Caller's probably on about 10. It's been at home with COVID and the kids, and it's probably gone to bed actually. Have we got anything else in here? Just scrolling through the comments. Oh, what's this? Forget the concerts. I read 2 million Koreans signed up for Spurs play. £40 a pop, 80 million. Really? You got to remember back, Craig, though, the VAT on that. VAT. Although if it's in Korea, what's the Korean equivalent of that? Is that all going into the English Tottenham Hotspur, or is there a South Korean commercial company set up?
Probably.
Definitely a Steve Diver question. I'm not really that up on how you do all those sort of things. Sure, 2 million, that can't be right. Knowing Spurs, the server couldn't even cope with that. It probably crashed like all the ticket sites crash. 12,300. Well done, Paul. Good work indeed. Craig does 10,000 every day, indeed.
Good work, Craig.
Not a steps comment, but Richard says, I really think we'll win silverware this season. We are improving with every game. With Porro, believe that we can win the league. There is this hope that we're just at the beginning of that run that we had last year that led us through to the end of the season. You know, I think it was the Man United game, wasn't it? We went there and actually played really well, and Ronaldo beat us by himself, and we deserved something out of that game. After that, apart from the little wobble against Brighton and Brentford, and we were terrible in that Brentford game, we were really good. We were clinical, functional, knew every player knew job. Everyone was saying how good Davinson Sanchez was. I will not be upset if Davinson Sanchez leaves us this summer. He has decent games, and I was actually quite glad when he came on Sunday after Romero got sent off, because I thought he gives you that little bit more. And when he doesn't face plant the ball at Man City, then he seems to do okay. Here we go, Craig. It was during the Korean pre-season, those friendly games. Oh, I see. Football under. Okay, I'll have to have a little look. If you happen to find the link, Craig, ping it over to me.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Rowan, I've got a step bladder up twice today. That's.
I missed you. I don't get. What top are you wearing, by the way? Have you got a retro Spurs one on there? Is that a Hummel?
This is the 85 to 87 away kit.
That is nice.
I've got the home one. Obviously, I know. I got this for Christmas for my wife. I fancied this one for a little while actually. We didn't wear it very often. Obviously, those days the games weren't televised very much. It was just highlights. But yeah, I'd quite like them to make a shirt like this now. Yeah. Anyone else got this one?
Yeah. It's a lovely shirt. I need to find it. Yeah. I'm not one for wearing shirts. The old replica shirts and stuff. I stopped that, but I do like the idea of going to the old retros. I've still got some spot for the pony kits. Always loved the pony kits.
Yeah, I had one of the pony kits, but it was massive on me. The purple one. And I've got the Umbro one, which we were talking about the other day. I've still got the original one upstairs from 90 that I bought in 94. I don't know how many of the guys watching can remember this. The last game of the 93-94 season, we'd just beaten Oldham on a sand pit on a Thursday night live on Sky. Vinny Samways and David Howell scored, and that guaranteed our safety. And then we played QPR in the pouring rain on the last day of the season. And this would have been the same day that Everton came from 2-0 down against Wimbledon, when all the allegations that Sager's threw it in the back of the net. And Graham Stewart scored a worldie and then one that just rolled in and went through Sager's hands. And we lost 2-1 to QPR that day. Trevor Sinclair scored from the edge of the box in front of the Park Lane, where there was no stand there. They knocked it down because they were going to rebuild the new one. And I sat in the Paxton, and I went to the club shop and bought the new away kit. I'm not sure I'd even seen it. I think that's when I saw it. I just decided I was going to, I'd heard it was coming out. So I thought I'm going to buy it. And I've still got that same shirt today. And I would have been, in 94? I'd have been 17 then. So
I'm just getting the charger. 1 sec.
Okay, mate. Cool. Craig had the light blue one. Yeah, I remember the light blue. I'm not sure. I don't know. Can you buy that in the club shop or anywhere? That'd be quite interesting. I'll have to see. Leslie says we had offers for Sanchez in January, but he didn't want to leave mid-season. I guess it depends who the offers were from, though, doesn't it? Or if he's got an idea if he can get a better move at the end of the season. I think January moves are always difficult and very restricted. And Lucas Moura's contract runs out, so we have one space to fill unless Hill comes back. Well, Hill, there's no option to buy on Hill, so I suspect he is coming back unless they've got plans to ship him off. I just don't think he's really got a future under Conte. Don't know what you think, Craig, with Hill.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I think his days are numbered, aren't they? If we, it's about waiting for the bidder, isn't it? Someone to come and pay the money, whatever, get our money back on him, and he'll go.
I think what they hope is that he'll have a good half season, and then maybe someone will do some sort of deal. Sanchez will go in the summer. Longlay's definitely go back to Barcelona. We're not keeping him. I think he's been okay, but he's not what we want. He was only ever really going to be a year loan. That's why we did the loan. On the wages he's on full time, we wouldn't want to pay it. Danjuma is the replacement for. Well, he's on a loan and there's a 30 million buyout. Gives us time to look at him, doesn't it? You know, there's rumours that he's got an attitude. We get a chance to look, don't we?
Yeah, well, it's buy, try before you buy, isn't it? I think he's going to be good. I mean, like I say, he's probably someone we might see actually at Leicester. Thinking about it.
Yeah. Udogi, there's no end there, by the way. Udogi in Sess out. I think the chances are Sess will be going. I think we'll have to loan him. I'm not sure anyone's going to buy him though. I've been very much. Sess has been so disappointed this season. Back in last year, he would get better. I found it really interesting when he came on Sunday because obviously Perisic took one for the team, so they had to take Perisic off. Sessegnon got the ball in the left wing, and he tried to outpace Kyle Walker. The one right back in the league you wouldn't want to try outpace for some reason. He tried to beat him, and I don't know what's happened to him. Why would he's suddenly the guy he appears to have a real lack of confidence? Think I'm going to go at you, and I'm pleased he did.
Yeah,
but I just thought it was a really strange. Whether they just said just get up the wing and just try and keep it, and he'll just try and see it. I don't know. Can someone explain that to me? How does Sess? I mean, Adam's saying he's a championship player. I think he had the potential to be a top league player, but the injuries have just damaged him psychologically as much as anything. Personally, I think. I have the Umbro black Bill Nicholson shirt, 12. Oh, okay. Not sure I remember that one. Paul, if you're on Twitter, can you? That's my, at Cheese from John is my Twitter handle. Can you send it to me? Can you send me a picture of it? Just in case I can't think what that one is. Which do you think the keeper will sign? We sort of discussed this earlier, Adam. Neither of us is really sure. I wouldn't mind Raya. There might be a keeper in Italy that we're not aware of. I'm not that up on keepers around the world. I'd be happy with Oblak, but I would worry that it'd cost too much money. I think we could probably get Raya for 15 to 20 million, which would leave plenty of money in the pot for the centre backs we need and the creative midfielder. And the other thing we need, it depends again on how Danjuma goes. We need a backup for Kulusevski, or different type for Kulusevski, certainly. And I don't think Hill is that player at the moment. In 3 or 4 years' time, he might be, but I think he needs to go away and develop. Ultimately, Adam's saying, but we did discuss Pickford earlier in the show.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, he's probably my choice at the moment, just because he's homegrown.
Yeah, homegrown players are an issue. And Tango. I mean, the thing is, Craig, you don't have to have full quota of homegrown. You just can only have so many non-homegrown. So you don't have to have any homegrown if you don't want them. You could only have 17 non-homegrown. I think it's 17. So yes, we do have an issue with all the players we have to come back from loan. We do have that issue of non-homegrown players. But yeah, unfortunately, Udogi won't be homegrown. Had we signed him as an 18-year-old and kept him for 3 years, he would be classed. Whereas obviously Eric Dier isn't a homegrown player because he was at Sporting Lisbon as a young lad. No worries, Adam. What was it? Was it 2-1 in the end, Adam? I didn't get an update on the score on that one. Oh, Paul doesn't have Twitter. Oh, shame. Daily Mirror saying we are going to turn to Ben Foster. Yeah, we. Sorry, David. We discussed this earlier. Yeah, because we had this little here. I don't have a massive problem with that. Bringing an experienced player in, he seems like a really top bloke as well, and I think a wealth of experience. I would worry if Forster got injured or. Oh, okay. There we go. 3-2 to Fulham. I'd worry if Forster got injured and Brandon Austin had to come in a crucial game. So I think you'd want that experience around, even if he doesn't play a game. Yeah. So, you got anything else on the run sheet there, Greg?
No, mate. I think we're done. If anyone's got anything you want us to ask, I'll chuck it into the group. Otherwise,
we've both got 1,000
hour.
steps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've got to go for a walk. Go put the bins out.
I've got a kitchen to tidy up as well.
Yeah.
Man United. Yeah, we got that one. Leeds were 2-0 up, weren't they? I believe. United might. I think United will be catchable. Bear in mind they're playing Barcelona, and is it next week? They've got to play Barcelona home and away. Which Barcelona are beatable, but they've got to play a Thursday night game. And as we know, Thursday night, Sunday night is not easy. Playing Tuesday or Wednesday, and then Saturday or Sunday is a lot easier. So, so we play West Ham after we play Milan, but we've got a 5-day rest, haven't we? After playing Milan, before playing West Ham.
West Ham, yeah. And then we've got the FA Cup game, haven't we? Midweek.
That's on the first, yeah. So we
the first,
have a look. So we've got Leicester on Saturday 11th. We've got Milan on Tuesday, West Ham. Then we've got a week off and we play Chelsea on the 26th. Then we play Sheffield United away on the 1st. Then we play Wolves away on the 4th. And then we play the home game against Milan on the 8th. And then Forest on the 11th, and then a week off. We play Southampton, or we play the FA Cup 6th round, depending on if we get through or not. So that will be the thing. If we progress to the semi-final of the FA Cup, Southampton away and Newcastle away both have to be rearranged, which means 2 away trips in midweeks, which will clutter up our fixture list. Obviously, we had a great run last year, just playing 1 game a week, apart from the Arsenal game. So it really depends on how far we go in the FA Cup and in the Champions League, because I think Milan are beatable. Leslie is telling us that AC Milan keeper is out.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting. Okay. Drew will get a hat trick. He'll probably score a bloody goal.
Yeah, just our luck.
Yeah. The League Cup final was the same day as the Chelsea Spurs game. But yeah, United have got the League Cup final. You're right, which again it goes against Newcastle. That's an extra game they've got to play. I mean, they're out of the FA Cup. They've got no Europe. So, and Newcastle have been struggling to score a bit lately. So, hopefully their wheels will come off and we'll be able to overtake them and keep up with United. So we can even keep up with the top 2 a little bit. We have to go on ahead. We're not going to win the league, but just keeping up there. It's really important we win the FA Cup and get top 4. We need both. We really, really need both this season. Mike Mangan and Ibrahimovic will be back from injury. Oh, Adam, we had our hopes up then. Do you remember when we signed Gomez from PSV after he had a worldie against us in the UEFA Cup? He just kept making. I was at that game at Tottenham, and we lost 1-0 when Gilberto made his debut at left back and gave the ball away for Jefferson Farfan to score. And Gomez just kept making all these saves, just kept pulling it out. And then we went there and outplayed them and won the away leg. And then he just made saves from the penalty shootout, didn't he? And then we signed him, thought, oh, this keeper's great. And he was great on one day, and then he was terrible on the next day.
Yeah, God. Well, that was all Harry Redknapp, wasn't it, area? That was when Harry Redknapp came in, didn't they? And he was awful. Always had a soft spot for him, though, Gomez. I've got his water bottle somewhere.
What, his actual water bottle? What, he threw it in the crowd?
Yeah, he threw it in the crowd, yeah. Yeah.
How random.
I can't remember what game it was now, but I remember I got it. Yeah. Don't know where it is.
Oh, that's cool. Leslie's saying AC Milan manager is under pressure with their current form. Here we go. Do you think we'll go for a central attacking midfielder because City and Newcastle are after Maddison? I've been told, Adam, that we were definitely in contact with Maddison's agent. We were definitely interested. Definitely, we are. There is definitely interest. Obviously, he'll be down to a year on his contract, so that'll be the time for Leicester. He's going to be sold to somebody this summer. I can't see Leicester letting him go on a free.
No.
Craig, have you frozen on me?
It's whether we can. Oh, I think I'm there. Can you hear me?
You're back. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think he will. Yeah, he'll go. It's whether we can. I think we're going to be in for him from everything we've been told, but it's whether we can beat City through signature.
Well, this is the thing. We've also been told City were very interested as well, and given the choice, but it depends who's at City and if they're going to be able to spend money. Although listening to Simon Jordan today, he was saying this will take 2 or 3 years to sort out because by the time all the evidence is looked at and they come to a judgment, City will, if they're found guilty, will appeal it, or if the Premier League, if it's found in City's favour, the Premier League might then appeal it, and then another panel will be convened, and it will just. This could really drag out for a long, long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, whether Pep just can't be bothered with it and just says, I'm going, I could see that.
I mean, they always seem just to get away with it, don't they? I think everyone sort of suspects that there's some sort of fancy accounting going on, but they just get away with it. So it's going to be interesting. Really,
I mean, the leaked emails that, what's his name? Terry, there's a guy on Twitter. Terry tweeted, if they are legit, that is astronomically stupid by the club. The chief finance officer actually emailing him saying, "Oh, can you pay the money and then we'll tell you how to do it." Just baffling. Richard, to answer your question, he's a left wing back. He is literally designed for the Conte system, and he's one of the best young prospects in Serie A. He's still looking like a good player. He's had very, very few bad games this season. Starts every game. He's powerful. He's quick. Pretty much everything Conte wants. He's what we were hoping Sessegnon might be, but hasn't been, unfortunately. So, yeah, Destiny, I'm really excited about him. I just hope he can adjust to the Premier League and stay fit. Yeah, it must be off putting players. I think there is that potential if you don't know what's going on. Yeah. Although, Chelsea signed players, didn't they, when they were going to go into a transfer ban? Money talks, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yep, it does, yeah.
As always, money talks. See, Paul, we're very aligned, I think. Right, we've been going an hour and 20 almost, haven't we? Should we call that a night there?
We'll call it a night. I think the interaction with the guys tonight's been brilliant, by the way, in the group chat.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys like this, we'll definitely do some more shows like this. Obviously, when Gibbo's back, unfortunately, our guest didn't appear. Hopefully he'll be all right and we can get him back on at some point. Josh, please do click the like button. Otherwise, Caller will tell us off, even though he got COVID. I will be back on Friday with HG, Jack, and I think JP, the Aussie, will be with us. And then no doubt Craig will be back on Monday or Tuesday. We're doing a post-match show, aren't we? After the Milan game.
Yeah.
I can't remember who else. Well,
that's it. Yeah.
Becky and Gibbo will be there Monday. With hopefully Caller will be back to his fitness and someone else. But yeah, do you want to wind it up?
Yeah, let's wind it up. Yeah, last thing to say is, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.